Welcome to the Angry Nerd Podcast. My name is Arshawn Wade, a.k.a. the Angry Nerd. The Angry Nerd Podcast is taped in front of a live Facebook audience from my mom's basement. The Angry Nerd Podcast is brought to you in part by some bad life choices and a few shattered dreams. The Angry Nerd Podcast is made possible by money that my wife gives me for my SSI check, some chick named Joni, and proceeds from listeners like you. If you want to be one of the listeners that helps contribute to this show getting better and better, go to Cash App. My Cash App is $The Angry Nerd. But wait, once again, we're not internet begging out here. Oh no, pick up one of the custom Angry Nerd t-shirts. Get yours in sizes small through extra large for the low price of $20 plus shipping and handling. Hey man, those envelopes cost. Anyways, diving right into it because, like I said a couple of minutes ago, it's going to be an abbreviated show tonight because I think I have to work. Anybody who's in the Midwest, I think if you're in the United States of America at this point, you got a whole bunch of snow. Excuse me. We got somewhere in the neighborhood of a foot of snow here in Arkansas, so it was crazy. And I live on this godforsaken hill, so I haven't been able to get off the hill. So I haven't been able to go to work, so. Anyways, I come to you guys, heavy burden, not making jokes, because I 100% fucked up. And it happens. I'm so angry that I don't have my drops right now. I was explaining earlier that there's no music, there's no drops. It's just me talking right now and I'm glad that it's that way, but it's really because I made a mistake and I didn't allow space in our new setup for the sound system. So we don't have any music and we don't have any drops. So, but anyways, I said I have to share this with the people. I had a totally different topic for today. But I am always quick to jump on somebody for not doing the right thing. I am always quick to jump on the black community, the low-income community, and poor people or people who lack information in general. I am one to chastise them verbally for their shortcomings, their lack of communication skills, their lack of conflict resolution skills. We need conflict resolution skills in the black community, in the low-income communities. We need these things. And I was a victim of my own failed emotions. Poof. It's the best I can do on sound effects right now. But, and it made me so angry. I got into it with my wife to the point that the cops were called. Now, let me tell you something about my wife. I don't think that there is a guy in the history of guys who's ever loved a girl as much as I love my wife. I don't think it's possible. So let me say that first. But we got bad into it, and the cops came out. Now, I think there's a two-part kind of message here in this thing because I had the negative interaction with my wife, and then now I have an interaction with the cops. And I'm going to tell you how that went as well. So me and my wife are talking about some serious grown-up stuff. Like, I remember once upon a time, I wouldn't have ever thought that I would be engaging in a conversation like that. What do I mean to you? I need you to want me. And oftentimes as guys, we don't really verbalize our emotional needs that way. Oftentimes these things are repressed, and I think society has kind of conditioned us to suppress these things. And I think that the millennial guys, I think I'm one of the older millennials. I think I'm still in that category. I'm in my 30s. So we're the guys who are like kids whenever they were talking about, you guys need to get in touch with your feminine side, and no homo, pause. But we were those kids. So we remember that being said. So we took it with a grain of salt once the influx of mental health and the influx of counseling and things like that, men being open and opening up, we are more open to those things and having those ideas and learning to process emotions and develop an emotional barometer. So we're prone to that. So we are more apt to have conversations like, hey, I feel like my lady doesn't like desire me. Like I think I'd be foolish to say that I don't think she loves me. That's not the case. But I don't feel like look at me. Hold on, let me get all the way in front of the camera. Look at me. I know that's vanity. I know that's ego. I know that's bogus. I wish I had my boo button. Boo. But it's like you have a Ferrari in the garage. Why wouldn't you drive the Ferrari? Why would you keep the Ferrari in the garage? This is my thinking. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying this is my thinking. Why wouldn't you want to drive that Ferrari? I would. Hell, I do. I'm sitting here I feel like Pepe Le Pew, like chasing you around, and it's like, oh, watch out, I'm cool. So anyway, we have a great falling out. And I was so disappointed in myself because I have been blessed, I think more so than a lot of people, in the respect that I have had so much counseling, so much training, so much, information. I have a lot of information. That's nothing to say braggadocious. It's just what it is. I have all this information. That's why I share this information. And I did a show, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks ago about practicing what you preach. And I didn't do that. I failed the test. It went from a civilized conversation to shouting, acting crazy, moving around the house in a violent way, using a tone of voice that just isn't suitable for one to speak to his loved ones with. I did all of the textbook things that you're not supposed to do. It was like I did every single thing that the book tells you not to do. And I was so disappointed. So after it tapered off, after our negative interaction tapered off, we're leaving the house. Open the cops are at the door. 4 big old dudes with straps and flashlights. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Hey, man, we got a call. There's a disturbance, blase. All right, well, cool it. Cool. Look, let me put my hands in the air, man. Look, I don't want no trouble. I don't want to be George Floyd, homie. I don't want to be George Floyd. And the cop was like, hey, man, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I was like, okay, I'm just letting you know that there ain't nothing that I'm going to do to threaten you. So there's no need for you guys to use force against me. I'm going to obey all your commands, and I'm going to comply and do what you guys need me to do. Because just like you guys have families that you guys want to get home to, I want to come back home to my family as well. So I'm not going to do anything to make you think that I'm going to hurt you. Okay? And these guys, and it was, like I said, it was 4 guys, and they were all around my age, early to mid 30s. Really, they were really cool about it. Hey, man, put these cuffs on. You're just being detained. I said, hey, I know the difference between being under arrest and being detained. I'm okay with being detained. If this makes everybody comfortable, let's go ahead and do that. I'm fine with that. And so he sat there. They go talk to her. One guy goes and talks to me. Another guy comes over and puts another set of handcuffs on me. I said, wow, 2 sets of handcuffs. I said, now, I can throw them. Don't get me wrong, but I ain't that bad where I need 2 pair of handcuffs on me. What's going on, guys? He was like, well, these are his handcuffs, and we're going to just switch them out. I'm going to put my handcuffs on you. You're going to go with me. I said, oh, wait a minute, sir. No, I can't do that. We can't, I can't do any going with you. We need to sort this out. There's a better way to handle things than that. I'm not your run-of-the-mill ex-con. I'm just not. That's not being braggadocious. That's just saying I'm just not the average run-of-the-mill ex-con. I've never been violated. I've never had any sanctions. I've never had a dirty UA. I've never had any problems. My PO will tell you I never have problems out of this guy. this close. Couple more months, baby. This close to being off of parole, and I'm having a negative interaction with the cops. I'm heartbroken. Like, I feel like a civilian. Like, I'm in the back of the squad car. They put me in the back of the wagon. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, I can't go to jail. I most certainly can't go to jail. So I'm in my head, I'm trying to count up how much money I have in my wallet, how much the bail possibly could be if they're going to go ahead and charge me with a crime. The guy comes, and I guess this is the big dog. Now, there's a joke about if another police car pulls up while you're pulled over, that you're going to jail. Well, how about 4 police cars pulled up? 4 police cars pulled up. At this time, it's real. But the guys are real cool. The guys are real cool. And I don't know if that's because of the way I behaved or if these were just some cool young dudes, because they were all like younger guys. And they came and got my side of things. They got her side of things. They said, hey, man, I got some discretion here. And because you've been a cool cat and you've been honest and you've worked with us, hey, man, I'm going to use my discretion to say, let your wife go to her mom's house, and you, after she clears out, then you go ahead and go back to the house. We're not going to arrest you. We're not going to charge. We're just going to say, y'all, cool out. You guys got a lot of things that you need to talk about. You got some issues that you guys need to work out. I'm not, I can't tell you what to do. You're a grown man, so I can't tell you what to do. But I just want to give you some advice, man. Think about how much you've accomplished. You're almost done with your parole. You got a good job. You got good things going for yourself. You need to think about that, okay? And I said, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And I don't mind sharing with you guys that I said a prayer when I was in the back of that squad car. Just because I'm not a Bible thumper and just because I don't go to church doesn't mean that I don't believe in prayer. I know there's power in prayer. The ancient wisdom teaches us that where 2 or 3 are gathered, there's great energy there. So we know from the scrolls that there's energy pooled when several people get together and they focus on one thing. So, but I believe in prayer. So I'm praying, and this is my prayer. Most people think that I'm mildly retarded, and I don't say retarded in like a disrespectful way. I mean like a clinical way, like I'm slow. Most people think that. So what ends up happening is the cop said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Wait. Let me go back. All right. Wait. Where was I? Somebody tell me where I was at. For anybody wondering who I'm talking to when I say, hey, y'all tell me where I'm at, I'm talking to my brothers and sisters on Facebook Live, because while I record this for Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube, I also broadcast live from Facebook, because that's all we can afford right now. But anyways, back to the cops. So the cop comes over. He says, hey, man, I got some discretion. Blase. Here, man, go on about your business. He said, are you okay with this? And I said, no, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I was like, because now I'm worried about my wife being out there driving on the ice and the snow. I said, I'm going to honor the way that you set this thing up. I'm going to honor that, and I'm going to do exactly what you've asked me to do. But I'm just telling you, man to man, I think you're a husband, as a husband to husband, I'm not happy about my wife driving off onto this. She doesn't drive very well to begin with. So now I'm worried about that. And we're into it. So it's not like she's going to text me and say, hey, I made it safe. But when I was in the back of that squad car and I said my prayer, I didn't, like I said, people think I'm mildly retarded because of the way I talk to God. And I tell people this, I believe that God deals with me. The God that I understand deals with me where I'm at. So I talk to him pretty much like a gangster, And I was like, yo, God, hey, man, fuck with me one time real quick. Look, you didn't do anything. I did everything wrong. This is all me. I take 100% responsibility for me sitting in the back of this police car right now. But at this late in the game, 8 years, I cannot go backwards. And I'm asking you for a favor, man. Please fix this situation. Please, because this is bogus. And I'm at fault. But God, I need a favor right now, man. Please give me a favor. I don't know if that prayer worked. But the North Little Rock Police Department saw fit to allow me and my wife to work things out amongst ourselves. And here's the thing. Like I said, it's a two-part story because we got the relationship things that I did wrong, and then we got the interaction with the cop things that I did right. Communication is key. Effective communication is key. And me being one, the older person in the relationship, and also two, being the person in the relationship who has the information. Not saying that she doesn't. I'm just saying that I 100% have the information. I should have been the one who recognized the cues. I should have been the one who recognized once we were no longer communicating effectively. Once we were no longer communicating effectively, somebody has to say, okay, listen, let's take a break. Let's revisit this in an hour. Let's go take a break, do whatever, and let's come back in an hour. Let's stretch our legs, let's get something to eat, and then let's sit down and have our conversation. Because once we stop communicating effectively and we start attacking each other, we start throwing little digs, little disses, little digs. Once we start doing those things, these fruitless things, these things that aren't conducive to a healthy relationship, we're setting the stage for a debacle, a horrible interaction that ends in the cops being called. That's what ends up happening. And I 100% blame myself because I have the information. And I did something foolish. Let my emotions get the better of me. And for me, it's a very shameful moment for me as somebody who is a person who, speaks against that type of dealings, that type of interaction. Like, I apologize to my kid, because I'm like, dude, I know that the things that I do and the decisions that I make affect you. I know this. And that didn't stop me from going on one. So yeah, I'm thoroughly disappointed in myself, and I'm really just, angry at myself and been beating myself up about the situation. So, but with the cops, to me, it's a no-brainer. If you have 4 guns and I don't have any, well, I think it's your day today. I think we're going to do whatever you want to do. That's just my thinking. And I said, hey, I just want you guys to know this information. And I don't know if it was my tone, my demeanor, I don't know what it was, but they stopped. They listened to what I had to say, and they let me get all the way through it. And then they said, all right, man, look, we're going to put these cuffs on you. Let's hang out over here. Whoop-de-whoop-de. It was a very, it was just like I didn't feel like I had been done wrong or I had been slighted or anything like that. I just didn't feel like it was one of those interactions. I thought it was going to go in that direction, especially when the guy came up with the rank. I was like, oh, I'm done for. He's probably going to, come in here and curse me out and get all crazy with me. But, he wasn't like that. They were all cool dudes. We chopped it up. Of course, they got to ask me about MMA and things like that. And, it was a great moment. There's a part of me that wishes that I have recorded that, because it was like I said, there were four cars that pulled up. And altogether, I think there were 6 guys. By the time it was all done, there were 6 guys and there were 4 cars. So, but at least 3 of the guys were like, hey, man, like counseled with me. Like, hey, I know how it goes. I got a girlfriend. things get heated sometimes. Somebody's got to be smart enough to walk away. Okay? Just, like, it was like a really good experience. Although I was like, I don't feel like I handled the police as much as I feel like I made them feel like I wasn't a threat. And I just let them know, like, I'm not going to do anything to harm you guys. I'm a bougie ex-con. Like, I'm not the run-of-the-mill ex-con, Like, I don't have, like, half a meth lab in my backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that ex-con. I'm like the guy I'm the success story. I'm the guy on the poster. Like, hey, if you do the right thing when you get out of here, you can be like this guy. The exit video that you watch before you get out of prison? Yeah, so my life was real bad, but I came to the program and they changed my life. I can read now. Yeah, I'm that guy. I hate that my drops aren't here. I think that was a good one to applaud. That was a good one. But anyways, I'm sorry. I can't help not joke, even though it's a very serious situation. It's a very, because at this point, I just finished talking to Dylan Brackley over at Savage Hippie, man. Shout out to my boys over at Savage Hippie. Shout out David Pagan. Shout out Jim McDonough. Shout out Dylan Brackley. The whole camp, man. So I was talking to Dylan. Excuse me. I was talking to Dylan, and I was just explaining to him, like this gamut of emotions that I've been going through. And I hadn't shared it with anybody because I've never, once again, let me say this. Look at me. I've been looking like this for a long time. I don't know. This face gets girls. I know my listeners on Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube can't actually see me right now. But let me tell you something. If you guys go look me up, I'm a handsome devil. I want you guys to all go follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, The Angry Nerd Podcast. And I'm telling you, I'm a handsome devil. But anyways, so I'm telling Dylan, like, I'm going through what I have coined whole withdrawals. So let me give you some context. This is an example of whole withdrawals because I identified that I hadn't been in a monogamous relationship pretty much since like the third grade. I haven't had one girlfriend since like the third grade. I identified that, and I decided that one day I was in a verbal joust with my wife, and I was saying to her, well, if you want something different, you got to do something different. That's the definition of insanity. You do the same thing over and over, you expect a different result. And as the words left my mouth, as the old church folks would say, when the law gives you a word, it deals with your spirit first. That's what, hey, it hit me, and I was like, wow, when am I going to do something differently? And so I decided to sever all ties with anyone who owns a vagina that would possibly share it with me. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I blocked people, sent messages. Hey, I'm not dealing with you anymore. No hard feelings. I wish you well. Peace and blessings. Don't contact me anymore. I'm going to block you. There's nothing for us to talk about. Anything that we're going to be talking about is going to be a fruitless conversation. It's going to be a fruitless conversation. So I decided I'm going to put 100% of Arshawn into one lady. And let me tell you what happened. The craziest fucking thing happened. I still am. My anxiety is through the roof. Because the scariest thing in the world for me, I don't know how you mere mortals do it. I have no idea how you do it. This is the most vulnerable, most horrible feeling in the world, thinking that if I do something wrong, and I say that because I'm Arshawn Wade, I'm liable to F up a time or two in the course of a relationship, a time or 20 or so. So I'm prone to screwing up. What if I screw up one time and she leaves? Then I got no girl. This is exactly why I've always kept the satellites around. What's a satellite, Arshawn? I'm not talking about a Kevin Gates song. The satellites are those little micro relationships that orbit around your primary relationship. No, you guys aren't having sex. No, you aren't cheating, but you do know that there's some sexual energy between the two of you. And that's the person that you send that hey text to every month or two. That's the person that you send that hey big head text to. That guy or that girl. That's who I'm talking about. These are the satellites. These people that hang around your relationship that are not romantic trysts or affairs, but they're not appropriate relationships. Can we all agree on that? These little satellite relationships that hang around. That girl that you know, if you say, hey, I got a room this weekend, she'd go. Knowing that you have a wife and kids and everything. That is what I'm talking about. That guy that always makes a comment about how fat your ass is when you walk by and you giggle, tee-hee-hee, and you be liking his shit on Instagram. That guy, that inappropriate relationship. That's what I'm talking about. These are the satellites, these little hangers-ons. And I've always had at least half a dozen. My ex-wife would tell you that. I think she was the 7th or 8th one on the list back in the day. I was a bad mamma jamma now. It's from about 16 to 27. Oh, cold-blooded, boy. Anyway, but that's another story. Back to the topic at hand. Whole withdrawal. So now I have taken all of my eggs and I put them into one basket. And this basket has a wobbly ass handle and a couple of holes in it. And I got to try to keep my eggs in this basket. That's the analogy that I use for how I feel in my relationship. Like, oh my God, I can't make her mad, because if she leaves, guess what happens? I got no girls. And if I don't have any girls, I don't have any vagina. No vagina for Arshawn is bad. It's not good. I'm married. This is the vagina that I've chosen over all the other vaginas that are out there. I can't let it go anywhere. I can't let it not be here. So I have to cater and pander and simp. Tiniest bit of simping. We talked about simping last week, I think. So anybody who doesn't know what simping is, go catch last week's episode. Give me a couple of good views on YouTube, Spotify, or Podbean. And then we'll get you educated on what simping is. But I have bent over backwards, and I feel like every day I come home from work, when I hit the corner and I turn the corner and I see her car, I'm like, whew, oh, she didn't leave me. Oh, thank you, God. And that is a horrible feel. I'm like, is this how everybody else in the world feels? How are you living your life like this, people? I cannot, I feel so, I have always thought, because 1, I look like this. 2, I'm a coxman. And 3, I've always had those satellite relationships. So I've never thought that I was insecure. I don't care what a woman does. I don't go through phones. I don't do all that Rudy Poo Jabroni type business. I don't involve myself in those female activities. That's female activity. That's female-ish. I don't get down like that. I only didn't get down like that because I knew that if she left, I had another girl. I wasn't tripping. Even though the primary relationship 10 times out of 10 is the person who has your heart, the person that you love more than anything in the world. Typically, that person you will do anything for, except starve the lingam. We're not going to starve the lingam. For anybody who doesn't know what a lingam is, it is the Sanskrit word for the male reproductive organ. Y'all call it what you want to call it. I call it a lingam. So I don't want her to go. But trying to keep one person, I can maintain, like I said, half a dozen relationships way easier than I can just one. It's so hard. It is so very difficult to do. And not to mention, I'm not the easiest person to deal with. You guys only see 45 minutes to an hour of me once a week. You got to multiply that shit by about 50 and then put it in a 2-bedroom house. It's a lot to deal with. It's a lot easier to deal with the satellites. No satellites makes Arshawn a very dull boy. This is all new to me. And I had never identified this before in my life. So I started doing a little bit of research and I realized I have abandonment issues. And there are different categories of abandonment issues. That doesn't mean my mom smoked crack and left me on the steps of the Catholic Church. I'm not saying like those kind of abandonment issues. But I have abandonment issues. I feel I have a fear of companionship parting ways with me. So I have rationalized that it is okay to have 5 or 6 open conversations, because that's what I'm going to call it. These are conversations. Nothing sexual is happening, no meetups or anything like that. You're just pretty much on the hey boo, good morning type situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's not too deep. But this right here, the monogamy side of the game, is super deep. Super deep, man. And I didn't know that one woman can exude so many different emotions in succession, oftentimes. I mean, go from one, boom, right into the next. Go from joy to sadness in the same fucking breath. I'm trying to understand it. Now, previously, I probably have been in the presence of some shit like this before, but I didn't care. So I probably didn't pay any attention to it. I didn't care. But in this situation, I care. That's why I'm doing these strange new things. Like not having female companions. That's uncharted territory for me. I didn't recognize that. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was setting myself up for, because I'm a fighter. I have a fighter's mentality. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll fight him. Why not? I'll take him on. So sure, I'll take on this challenge. I'll put all my eggs in one basket. The basket with the wobbly handle. A couple holes in it. Real hard trying to keep your eggs in there and get to where you're going. But I want this basket. I want this basket over any other basket. Can you dig it? So I'm bending over backwards, and I guess I didn't go through any of this in my teens because maybe I didn't deal with very substantive women. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but I feel like John Bradshaw has a block of information known as the 8 stages of man, and he talks about one of them is the identity crisis. And regardless to what, at these different stages, you have to visit this identity crisis. I like to think of it as a fork in the road or a crux. That's the way I like to see it in my mind's eye, because you have to reevaluate how you rock at 21 versus the way you did at 18. When you're 25, you have to evaluate the way that you rock versus the way that you did at 21. So on and so forth until you're 20, 30, 40, and 50 years of age. You have to continuously self-reflect and self-evaluate. I failed to do that. And guess what? I suffer the consequences, the consequences because of it. I'm suffering the consequences because of it. Now, let me tell you why I said that a second time. Because I want you to see how selfish we are. Because I'm not talking about my kids hearing this argument. I'm not talking about my kids hearing dad act a fool. I'm not talking about how they feel. I'm talking about me. This whole situation, I have never been more selfish in the history of my life than when I tried to do the most selfless thing possible in the relationship sphere, which is be faithful, be loyal at all costs. Like, I only double tap big booty girl pictures on Instagram if they're like famous. Like, if she only got like 200, 300 likes, I'm not hitting that. That's a regular girl. I could possibly run into her. She only got 200 or 300 likes. This is the average chick. Now she got 10,000. Oh yeah, I'm gonna double tap on 10,000. If she got 10,000 or more, I feel like that's innocent. She's famous. 10,000 people thinks that the same thing that I think about her. I think that this is right, and I should be able to double tap this and it be innocent. This is a celebrity right here. So that's the way I feel about it. But it's like, I have put myself through like a rigorous relationship boot camp, and it's almost, for my fighters out there, it's very similar to cutting weight. Your brain's not right. Anybody who's been around the fight game, you've heard a term or a phrase called fighter brain. Because when you're at weigh-ins, I mean, you've cut 17 pounds in 2 days, and you're there. You're hungry, you're lethargic, you're weak, you feel brittle. And that's exactly how I feel going through whole withdrawal. I feel like a significant part of my emotional barometer has been broken off. And all of my mercury is slowly spilling out of the bottom. That's the way I feel right now. And it's not until I talk to other guys and I hear them talk about realistic sexual exploits. And I'm like, what? Yeah, me and my wife, we have sex, 2 or 3 times a week. What? Okay. If you think that, whew. You need some satellites, bro. You only getting it 2 or 3 times a week. You need some satellites, homie. That's the way I feel about it. But I digress. Back to me and the disappointment. Like, for me, that's the biggest part of it, is the fact that I let myself down. I let myself down, and inadvertently I let my kids down. I let my wife down. I don't know if she's coming back. I feel like Anthony Hamilton on Charlene. He came in, grabbed that letter. Charlene, if you're listening, call on. Shit, man. But no, totally. And sometimes it may seem like I'm making light of it, but that's pretty much how I deal with a lot of stress in my life. Is like I make light of it, or I make a joke out of it, or something like that. But I'm really at a point in my life where I feel the reason I'm so disappointed is I feel like I should have identified that by now. I feel like that's an issue that I should have already worked out by now. At my age, I feel like that's an issue that I shouldn't have. That should be an issue that I should be mentoring the next young man on. Because I feel like that is a very young man issue. But it has been modus operandi for so very long that I'm totally numb to it. I'm totally numb to it. So I got on here and I spilled the beans, and because like I said, shame on any of those people who are journalists or YouTube personalities, any of those people who ostracize other people's drama and get likes, comments, and subscriptions for it, if you don't put your own drama out there when it happens to you, you're bogus. That's not written in a book anywhere. That's not written in stone because I said it. But I want you to know from me, from the nerd to you, you're bogus. So I hope that my men got something out of this. I hope that my brothers got something out of this. I hope sisters got something out of it too, but more so men, because I want you to know that if you get rid of your satellites, I want you to know what you need to be prepared for, because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared, and pretty much cost me everything. I mean, at this point, I don't know. I'm giving her space. At this point, I'm not entirely sure. So it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. But I hope that it turns out to be what I would like for it to be. And I have a nagging suspicion. Here's the thing, and this is what makes me angry. I was getting ready to get off, but I got one more point to make. I had to jump through hoops, keep the eggs in the basket. And now I done fucked up again. So guess what I got to do? There's some more hoops I'm going to have to jump through. There's some more bending over I got to do. There's a little more keeping the eggs in the basket that I have to do. Hey, man, you guys are the greatest. I thank you guys for listening. All my listeners on Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Thank you guys for your subscriptions. I want you guys on Facebook to move over to these other platforms. I'm trying to get these platforms built up so that we can have something real nice for ourselves here in Central Arkansas and ultimately the Midwest. You know, I want to tackle this entire market, and hopefully we get something good going, and we're able to start funneling artists through this podcast. We're able to start funneling musicians, any kind of talent that we have out there, anybody doing something positive, anybody doing something big. Hopefully we can build this platform into a place where you can do that here in the Midwest. What are we, the Mid-South? I think we're the Mid-South in Arkansas. But anyways, anybody in our general area, that's what I'm trying to do, man. So big up to anybody who's out there rapping. Hey, man, don't you let them boys talk bad to you because you're a SoundCloud rapper. Everybody started somewhere. You on the SoundCloud now? You might be on the big stage tomorrow. You might be on the Angry Nerd podcast. So you just never know. So you guys support not only myself, but any of your local artists, any of your local talents. Support your local guys. Let me tell you something. Don't wait until they get on the big stage, because you want to know what's going to happen. He's going to say, no, I remember. Yeah, I remember you. You guys drove by me when I was walking. I had to walk all the way down 109th Street. And you guys drove right by me. Yeah, I remember you. Hope life's treating you well. And they're going to irk out. But when you make it a habit of treating people well, whether they're on the way up or they're on the way down, just people in general, it doesn't matter what. Those are the people who give back to the community. Those are the people who don't forget their roots. Maybe we need to extend a little bit of that to them first. That's all I'm saying. So let's get these guys while they're on the ground level, while they're SoundCloud rappers. Let's get them now and support them so that when they get big, they can say, hey, my city got behind me. I didn't put my city on my back. My city put me on its shoulders. And we need to do more of that here in Arkansas and the Midwest and the Mid-South. So anyways, my name is Arshawn Wade, a.k.a. The Angry Nerd. Peace.